All right, turning now to Donald Trump. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. There's been several legal developments which show that Trump's legal troubles, which threatened to sink him before the election, well, things are actually starting to look pretty good for him. So you may recall that the judge had ruled that Fani Willis was allowed to stay on the Trump election case after it was revealed that she was having an extramarital affair and paying the lead prosecutor, Nathan Wade. Nathan Wade eventually resigned despite still being some swirling allegations and investigations into exactly what was happening between the two of them. But a Georgia appeals court now is agreed to review the lower court ruling that would have allowed her to continue the prosecution of the case. This, quote, is likely to delay the case in the second time as many days that he's gotten a favorable ruling whenever it comes to his legal travails. The next part is, frankly, maybe the most important one out of all of these. We can put this up there on the screen. Ryan and Emily briefly touched on it, but the judge in the Trump classified documents case has completely canceled the original May trial date. No new date set, and Krystal says it will be indefinitely suspended until pretrial motions and other things are allowed to continue. This comes after repeated releases of documents from the Trump team have frankly highlighted some like questionable FBI behavior around like bringing props. You know, the famous photo of spreading out the documents. Now, I'm not saying the photo itself was staged, but apparently the FBI like brought along a lot of different things in order to enhance some of the photo products and some of the other case against Trump. This has then raised more legal questions about how they were handling things, about Jack Smith's own involvement, and enough has now been raised that the judge has been forced to cancel the trial. So the likelihood now of the trial already being set May wasn't going to happen, but the official cancellation and the indefinite suspension, the likelihood of this happening, either of these happening before November, which are the two hands down strongest cases against Trump, Georgia because it's a state case, the documents case because, let's be honest, it's difficult to wiggle your way out of that one. Neither are likely to go to trial before November.
Yeah.
And the January 6th one too, given everything we know about the Supreme Court and all of that, I wouldn't put my money on that one either.
I mean, we have to say this judge has been very favorable to Trump in every way that she could possibly be from the beginning. So she was looking for a way to have this be the outcome, and she found a way. So there you go.
Welcome to the legal system.
And that was in terms of, I think, the most open and shut.
Yeah.
The documents case, we covered it a lot at the time.
Tons, yeah.
It was very difficult to see his way out of that one because it was just so black and white. He, many things that he'd said clearly indicated, like he knew these documents were classified. He was holding on to them anyway. The way that they were kept, the, refusal, the fact that he was telling people to move them all around and try to hide it. Like there was just, this was a tough one to wiggle out of, but here you go. All he needed was a delay and he got it. So that one is at least not going to be a problem for him for now. If he doesn't win re-election to the presidency, then it might be a problem for him in the future. But for now, he's coast is clear on that one. The January 6th one, don't know what's going to happen there because you've got the Supreme Court taking a look at the Trump team's claims that he has, immunity from quote unquote official acts. Indications are, and we covered this as well, that they may at least partially side with him, although it may be the case that some of the things that he was doing with regard to January 6th cannot be construed as official acts, but that's going to take time. That's going to take time to see what the Supreme Court says, and then they may have to, amend the case and refile. That's going to be a lengthy legal process as well. No one, there's no one to blame on that one except Merrick Garland, who drug his feet for whatever reason and didn't. We had all the facts of the January 6th situation immediately after January 6th, and yet it took so long for him to appoint a special counsel and for that case to come together, et cetera, that, that's a problem of their own making in terms of the Trump legal timeline. Then you've got now the George case. That one is on ice. We'll see how long it takes to adjudicate that one. And the only one that is moving forward is the least of the legal charges, which is the hush money case, which, is now ongoing. And apparently, listen, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert. Apparently people didn't think that Stormy's testimony went that well for the prosecution.
You're shocking me that Stormy Daniels. Well, okay, let's put this up there. We can talk a little bit about it. There are a couple of problems. Quote, prosecutors took a major risk. And by the way, keep in mind, this is the New York Times analysis, so probably the most favorable that they will get. It presented a risk for prosecutors because, quote, she had recalled, some of the sexual dalliance, etc., but they also specifically say that she recalled him talking about his family and about his wife, Melania, and that in that she, look, basically she gave enough in her testimony. She tried to allay it and say, well, he told me that Melania wouldn't worry about it or any of that, but there was enough there in terms of the cross-examination where they were able to impute a personal motive. So for example, Trump's lawyers literally were like, is it fair to say that you hate President Trump? And she literally said, yes. She's like, yes, I hate him. And she's like, I want to see him brought to justice. And it's like, well, okay, well, he didn't really do anything to you except get you paid. It's like, this is about a campaign finance allegation. The other thing is that quote, the motive, as I said, for the payoff was the true point of contention because it comes back to both a claim that she was trying to extort money from him, so it was a character problem for her, and then also whenever it comes to the motivation of whether Trump was paying her off for personal reasons with Melania. So both in terms of character and, as you said, even people who are very favorable are clearly seeing that this may have actually been a mistake because what it really did was just rile Trump up. Apparently he was cursing a lot through the testimony. The judge had to summon the lawyer and say, hey, Trump needs to stop oddly saying bullshit every time that she talks. I think he tweeted something that may have been a violation of the contempt and gag order that previously had already been warned he may be going to jail. So it's possible that that's what they were going for, but on a legal basis, I'm just saying this, I put my bias out there on the table. I think this whole case is stupid. I do think there's a well enough reasonable doubt now at this point for just one guy to be like, yeah, I think he was just trying to pay her off because of Melania, which is plausible on its face.
Yeah.
At the very beginning.
I think that's true. Like, I don't think it takes that much to convince people like, yeah, he didn't want his wife to know. Like, it may also have had a campaign. It can also have been a campaign motivation, but if it's just like he didn't want his wife to know, I think this all comes down to who are the jurors? What do they really think? What do they really feel about Donald Trump? I think that's probably what this case comes down to. But even if they find him guilty, like, it's a pretty low-level charge. It's not like the documents one, which is really significant. It's not like the January 6th one or the Georgia one. Those are like quite significant charges that would likely come with quite significant penalties. And it certainly appears that all three of them are probably completely off the table before the election. So this is the only one, and it's a low-level charge. It's very questionable whether he's even going to be found guilty, so we'll have to see. But this is like the luckiest man on the planet. Luckiest man on the planet.
No, at this point, I don't even believe in God, and I think he's been touched by God. There's just no earthly explanation here.
It's really something.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.